Good evening, everyone. It's Headmaster Hamilton. Hello, welcome to Headmaster's Homeroom. I am Lady Hamilton. I'm also known as Headmaster Hamilton. As I said, you can see that I am just finishing up my school year. Welcome, everybody. It's Friday night, and it has been a wonderful month. A great month full of artists, and I cannot tell you. We have another wonderful artist that we are going to bring on tonight. Her name is Kristine Monaghan, and it's so exciting because I have had her on here before, but we have brought her back because she is an amazing artist, and she's also everyone new to Truth. So if you're on Truth Social, we're definitely going to introduce you to her. She has just now created her profile on there, and we're so excited. Welcome aboard. I mean, I was telling her all about the new feature with the groups, and I do love it. I love that a lot. I've been able to not only meet so many wonderful artists and authors and different business and entrepreneurs and people who are doing things in their communities, musicians. Oh, right. We've got so many great things and people that I have been blessed to meet, and she is one of them. So we're so excited. And before we bring her on tonight, you guys, we're going to talk about ways that you guys can help us out, please, and get our first sponsor, I should say, right out of the way, because you guys, I love honey, and it's just crazy. But I got, Nurse Patrick has told us many, many times, and I believe it myself, that honey is truly one of God's gifts to us. It's a great medicine. It's great for inflammation. It's great tasting. It has so many one things. It's great for allergies. And our sponsor has some of the world's best honey. I use it on Sundays when I cook for you and show it off to you. You guys know how much I especially love the turmeric honey, which blows me out of the sky because I expected it to be so strong in its taste with the turmeric. And the blend is just some of the most beautiful and world's best honey I have ever tasted. So a great way to help us out is by going to nourishedmaui.com, which is Be Nourished. And I'm going to introduce you to them in a minute. You get 22% off your honey. So a great way to buy some great healing products and healing honeys. Also, please remember to like, follow, share our videos so other people can enjoy these wonderful guests that I have on. That is great. That helps us out so much. So even if you watch this on a different time, that's awesome. Thank you so much. But please remember to also hit that like button, that thumbs up, whatever you can do to help us out. Another great way, as you can see on the bottom of my screen, somebody needs to buy my producer some coffee because boy, does he work hard. And without him, I would not be here, everybody. And I love our producer. So please go to buymeacoffee.com/Scott Adams. And just with a cup of coffee, guys, it would help us out so much. And he will tell you all, on all of his shows that we are not sponsored by any big boys or the, what's it called? Physoderma. So it really helps us out. We want to be here for you guys for a long time so I can continue doing things. He brings you the world of news and politics and things like that. But I, on this show, get to bring you on and highlight you and all these wonderful people around our beautiful nation. So please help us out because we sure do appreciate you so much. And I love that you guys have made this show. I mean, the views on this show are just going, with God's grace through the roof. Thank you so much. I love being here with you. And it's just a real pleasure. So help me out, right? Do those simple things with the thumbs up or the likes and, simple things like buying a coffee, or you could even donate if you want to Cash App is another one for us that's listed below as well. And we appreciate that. But as you know that I talk about honey, I have a beautiful commercial from our wonderful sponsors. So here they are. Be Nourished.
Honey. It's one of the greatest gifts to man. With millions of wildflowers in every bottle, the nourishing power of honey is still yet to be fully discovered. Be Nourished Healing Products combines healing ingredients from around the planet to the purest honey from the island of Maui to bring magic to your taste buds. The best honey from the most beautiful place to nourish your body, mind, and soul. From our hearts to yours, be nourished.
I am back, everyone. All right. So I'm probably going to be drinking a lot of water. It's just hot. I'll tell you that. It's just getting hotter. And I'm not so used to the humidity, even though I live in this new environment, but love water. And it's another thing I'm going to tell you, which sounds so ironic. And I keep getting reminded by my beautiful husband, Nurse Patrick, who says, if you feel inflammation or you feel extra water weight, how do you get rid of that? He says, drink more water. And it just sounds crazy to me that you would drink more water to lose more water, but it works great. So I will be drinking plenty of that, as I love that he does give me this beautiful advice. And it's hot out there, everyone. I hope everybody is settled in for tonight. Again, if you're just joining us, welcome and thank you so much. Make sure that you are hitting the like buttons. I really appreciate you guys so much. All right. So let's get started. Like I said, this has been a wonderful, wonderful month, and I am thrilled. And I shouldn't say that because it's just been a wonderful ride completely. I'm on only 37 shows, and here we are. And I've got to celebrate so many of you, and I thank you. I thank you to my guests that have been on before. But this last month or so has just month and a half, I guess, maybe even 2 months, has just been the world of art. And that just helps me geek out a little bit more because I'm an artist myself, and we all have so many different talents and different styles. And we also have had beautiful musicians on, and authors and publishers and people running for office, and it's just so great to share who you are, get to know you, and be a part of your celebration. This is one of the things I do. When I was a guest on our producer's show, I just was like, we keep hearing, what are people doing around the nation? And I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be able to celebrate people around the nation. And I have been blessed with this platform to do so. And I have been blessed to meet so many. I mean, over 50, 60 at least. And I am still booked up. I'm booked out through August, guys. We've got so many of you that are coming on to celebrate who you are. And it's been a pleasure to get to know every single one of you. This includes this young lady. I'll tell you what, I met her at CPAC, and that was another amazing story in itself because this was very last minute. We reached out, they invited us to go, and no disrespect to any of the leaders or politicians or anybody that were there, but that wasn't my mission per se. I mean, I told my producer was there, but mine was to get to know the guests. And there was a beautiful artist there that you guys have seen. She's a speed painter or whatever, but I went and spoke to her assistants. And this woman is just amazing and so talented and has a heart of absolute gold. And it's just been such a pleasure to get to know her, and more over, the last few months in particular too, and just share with not only her beautiful art, but her love for God. It's so nice to be able to have somebody that you could just be like, okay, you know what happened, or you receive a blessing, or those little moments that, and just be able to share those Jesus moments or God moments and be like, and she gets it, and it's been so exciting to kind of have that little friendship bloom. And so I am so excited to have Kristine on today. And I want to tell you a bit about her from her own webpage. I'm going to change it slightly because she puts it in, of course, I am, but I'm going to she is. Right, Kristine is an artist pursuing the dreams of God that has put it in her heart. She lives in Arizona with her wonderful husband, who's obnoxiously stubborn Frenchie, she said, and her obnoxiously stubborn Frenchie. So he's not stubborn, everyone. The dog is. My apologies. She's going to laugh or kick me. I don't know, but I said that so wrong. But she has a wonderful Frenchie as well. Her passion is to create artwork that speaks of God's love and his purpose for your life. She hopes to encourage others to follow their God-given dreams and to know that he will make a way. She says, you are God's masterpiece, and he has amazing plans for your life. Art has always been a part of her life, but it wasn't until a couple of years ago that she realized it's more than just a hobby. Being an artist is part of who God made her to be. It's one of the most amazing ways she gets to connect with him and glorify him. She says, I've learned that all of us were created to worship God. One of the ways we can worship him is by using his gifts. He's given us to fulfill his purpose He has designed us for. And I love that. I'm going to say that one more time because, right, we don't remember this very often, but remember that one of the ways we can worship him is by using his gifts. And that is to help us fulfill our purpose that he's designed for us. And I love that. It's one of my favorite parts about her bio, and reminds us that we all have different gifts, whether it comes through art, or it comes through music, or it comes through running for office, or it comes from raising a family. Whatever your gift may be, use it because it will help fulfill your purpose he has designed for us. I love that. And her last piece says, beyond her desire to create is a desire to see you live your best life with God. Her hope is to encourage you to kick fear out and pursue the plans he has for you. And so I had to put that in her person. Everything was, like I said, everyone, right? But let me bring her on. Let me give a very warm welcome to Kristine Monaghan.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for having me on with you tonight.
Oh, it's so my pleasure. I mean, I would just, I'm so excited, if you could tell how much I love my guests. And I always just get real excited to have you guys on because it just fulfills my heart to know, first of all, you guys exist and you're doing these amazing things out there. Number one, it cures any fear you have of feeling like you're alone or isolated, right? It helps me also find what God is doing to light fires under people all over the nation.
Yes.
Right? And it's so exciting to me. I mean, I do. Everyone, I get geeked out when I talk about God. Either I'm crying about him or I'm smiling so happy. But, this is a time for this right now. As we're really seeing this as a time, I feel that it's this good versus evil. This revival, this call back from a lot of us, many of us going, we want to feel your presence again here, God. We're screaming for you. We want you to be part of our lives for whatever reason that might be in your own life. But even as a nation, I feel that people are like, we need you back. We need you back. So I love, first of all, and foremost, not only are you extremely talented, but your love for God is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
If you want to start, I think that's where I'll start with you. How did that even become a part of you? I mean, is that something you had since you were very little? Did you have a moment in your life where you're just like, his presence was known? I mean, how did that manifest inside you?
So just to clarify, you mean like my love for God?
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually raised Catholic. So I've kind of always known of Jesus, but it wasn't until I was 18 years old that, sorry if you can hear my cat in the background. She's very talkative. Anyway, so yeah, I grew up Catholic. It wasn't until I was around 18 that we kind of broke away from the Catholic Church, and I started looking elsewhere and listening to different teachers and prophets, pastors. It was reintroducing me to Jesus and through a new lens, which I have nothing against the Catholic Church, but for me, I was introduced to Jesus kind of through that lens of shame that, it's my fault that Jesus had to go to the cross, that he had to die for me because I'm such a bad person. Like, that's kind of the underlying message that I grew up with. Right. So when I started listening to these teachers talk about, God's incredible grace, we sing Amazing Grace, but it's completely different to actually experience it. So I think unlike most Christians, I don't have like a specific salvation day. Like, I've always known Jesus. I've always said the salvation prayer whenever I hear it. So I don't remember having like a moment with God before, where it was just like suddenly everything's changed. It's just like little by little things started changing. And I started getting more revelation and just falling more and more in love with who he is.
Right.
So, yeah.
I grew up knowing who they were too. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But we find that personal connection. And I think that's when it really kind of starts manifesting too. Or, the only thing I have to say negative about religions per se, I'm very much, I'm a very much lover. I read my scriptures. I say my prayers like nonstop, everyone. I firmly believe, but a lot of religions have changed. They're not foundational anymore, or they allow certain things that don't necessarily align with even what their doctrine might say, depending on different religions.
Yeah.
Or they put God in a box and tell you, and interpret
Yes.
in their own little personal ways per se. But, and I'm like, I'm not 100% comfortable with you saying, and putting boundaries on God. He's the master creator of all. And so,
100%. Yeah, no, I
right,
think with the Catholic Church specifically, like the way I kind of describe it is they taught me Jesus as the Lamb of God, the God or Jesus incarnate who went to the cross to take our sins, but they left him on the cross. Like any Catholic church you go to, he's on the crucifix, and it's like, that's not where he is anymore. He rose from the grave. So I think they kind of stuck on the Lamb of God, but forgot the Lion of Judah.
right.
That he's given us authority. He has resurrection power. That same resurrection power is flowing through our veins. So,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
I think you're right that every religion kind of has their box of God, and it's unfortunate.
And you're like, and then when it really boils down to it, one thing that really manifested in me is when we go to heaven, there's no religion.
No.
It's just God's world.
Yeah, we just get to worship him.
It's really not an organization. It's just like, hey, I kind of like, it makes me laugh and chuckle, but, and there are certain things that really touch me. I have talked several times about the moment. It's where the devils come in. It's a chosen, which I love, and it's like season 2, I believe, and this possessed man comes into their camp and recognizes Mary, but by the demon name that had possessed her. And she gets scared and goes away and starts drinking again, and is terrified to come back when the disciples come and get her, right? And she's terrified to face the Savior. And he's like, I didn't say you weren't going to sin again. He goes, God only wants your heart, Mary. That's, and he preaches, and it's so simple, but very, very hard, right? Like, especially his like, love one another, serve one another. Now, if we all could do that with purity, unfortunately, that means our murderers. That means our bad people too. I mean,
the people we don't want to serve.
Right. And you're like, I'm supposed to love and serve everybody, so it's easier said than done. So, but it just boils down to that, that the Savior and our Father, they just wanted our heart. They want to have a relationship with us, and a strong one at that. Let me tell you, a strong one at that. So thank you for sharing that. And I know her love, everybody. She's one of those people too. She reminds me when we had our men, I told everybody about that story when they were on, and them praying before coming on. And I was like, wow, when my guests have to tell me, let me get right back to you, but I have to pray before. So not only am I completely humbled that God has given you permission to come and you've had that feeling, it's also super neat that God's even thinking about me with, somebody else. I kind of get a big old I get the biggest grin. I'm like, he was talking about me? Really? To somebody else? I'm like, oh, wow. And you just feel like, oh, just little old me. But, we're not little old me. We're his children, and I love it. So yes, you're one of those people. She had to pray too, and she's like, "Okay, I got the thumbs up." I'm like, "Okay, we're golden." And so that's awesome. So I am sure with who you work with, that has just even inspired even more of that relationship. Because I think of the paintings that Vanessa does, and you could talk about who you work with and in turn in here in a minute, everyone. But Vanessa, everybody should know her by the Savior and the lion behind her. And she's very much the same thing. I wouldn't even be surprised if she listened to music that was inspired with the same kind of message that she paints. But I know her from that painting. I think most people do. But in that environment, do you feel that has also connected you more to that relationship?
Yeah. 100%.
So
right? Even just working, even just getting to work in the warehouse with her. Huh?
Does she listen to spiritual music?
Oh yeah, she actually.
Right.
She was doing a study and found that like sound can shift molecules. I don't remember exactly what she was telling me or how she said it, but when she got this tidbit of information, she started finding songs that were sung in Hebrew, and she was playing them next to the canvases at very high volumes as she's sitting there gessoing the canvas. so that
Wow.
as the canvas is drying, it's being, the molecules are changing at that level to like just have that worship embedded in the foundation of the canvas. So
You know, I'm
yeah,
so
it's
glad you said that. Have you ever seen the science experiments where if you talk to water or a plant with
yes.
positive or negative to see their different reactions? If you talk to a plant with negative reactions, it will kill it. You're like, so she's right about that vibration. I have never thought about that, but I have to be the
Yeah,
same way. So
it's
tell me who
amazing.
Vanessa is.
So Vanessa is an incredible worship artist. You probably do recognize or would recognize her painting that is hanging behind Mike Lindell in his office. Um, I think she's been on this journey for about 10 years now. And yeah, her heart for God is just incredible. Just being around her just sets you on fire because her faith and her vision is just absolutely amazing. And she's just so fearless. This is what God said I'm going to do. So this is what I'm going to do. I don't care if it doesn't make sense. God will provide.
Right.
And man, just being around someone like that is just inspiring.
That is amazing. So if
Yeah.
you guys don't know, she's an intern for her, and I'll ask her about the program here, but she is, and we're not here. I mean, Vanessa's an amazing artist, but there are some things that we have to talk about for her because it's really brought Kristine forward. It's helped her become more of the artist that she is. Help her learn how to do different techniques faster, create things, have no fear.
Mhm.
One thing that I have learned from you and your story, and I thought about that with speed painting. Once you try that and you build up that repertoire, all of a sudden that fear to paint must be a little bit limited.
Yeah.
With me, right? I mean, I might sit there and talk myself out of painting I could do it for years if I wanted to, but
Oh
um,
yeah.
so tell us a little bit about that. So she has internship programs. I don't know
Yep.
if these are going on anymore, everyone, but she did have internship programs, and I believe you were the first.
Yeah. Me, Jenna, oh my goodness, Jenna May Conlon or
Yes.
Tipton. Sorry, she got married. Jenna May Tipton.
Oh,
Um, yeah, she's another incredible artist as well. And so
mhm.
we were like the first two to really stick it out all the way to graduation. And it was amazing. So I don't know if Vanessa is continuing with the internship for now. I think she might be pausing it because they're in transition with building out her gallery and some other things going on. So really exciting things, but I think her attention is going to have to be towards, growing the business and doing what God's called her to do. So
Right.
yeah.
But in ways that she's helped you, and we talked about speed painting. So it's part of the
Yeah.
internship, which is more than just, pack this or mix this or get this ready for me or prep this. She
Yes.
actually had these artists really start to practice this speed painting, everyone. Like, okay, you're gonna do
Mhm.
this painting in like, I don't know, an hour. Now, first of all, I'd start crying. That's just me. I mean, I would tell myself no, because I know it takes me months to do a painting.
That's
But
fair.
then I use oils and I do different
Oh yeah, the
methods.
drying process for that is completely different.
Right.
So
But
you have to take your time.
I'm excited though to start that and figure that out with acrylics. There's been so many artists that have come on with acrylics. And
Mhm.
maybe part of my thing is too is because it dries so fast, I don't feel like I could do that. But then what you have learned is do it. I'm gonna do it. If it turns out, it turns out. If it's not, it's not. I'm gonna complete this thing. But by doing so
Yeah.
many of these, how did that build your confidence to actually paint in
Well,
general?
so actually, I didn't think about this. This was the one I'm kind of working on right now. So this design was actually what I painted at graduation.
Okay.
So she had us do a 30-minute painting for our graduation. We got to pick out our own worship songs and I got to worship my heart out and it was amazing. But the prep work for it was, first finding the design, figuring out if I could get it down into the amount of time that I needed to. So I started with a 16 by 20. I got it done in 30 minutes and I was absolutely thrilled that I was able to get it done that quickly. And then I sent a picture to Vanessa and she responded, "Great, now do 10." So my brain, I took it as, okay, great, now do 10 paintings. So I went and bought the canvas that day and started knocking them out. I think I got to 6 and I got my time down to about 20 minutes. And I was so excited again. I sent her a picture and I was like, I did it in 20 minutes. And she's like, that is fantastic. Now do 10 minutes. And I realized I misunderstood the assignments.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she wanted us to do it in 10 minutes because if you can do it in 10 minutes on a small scale, you can do it in 30 on a large scale. So yeah, then I was getting my time down to 10 minutes. But the funny thing about having done it, 6 practice paintings is that I was so familiar with the painting. By the time I moved on to the big ones, I was knocking them out way faster than I imagined I could. So this one was actually done in 15 minutes, maybe 20. She might have given us a little bit of extra time. So maybe 20 minutes for that one. And I've just been kind of laying on extra layers just to give it some more detail. So it's still in progress, but I had a pretty solid foundation for that 15 to 20 minute mark, and it prepared me for that 30-minute painting for my graduation. And that was a 36 by 48 painting for graduation.
Okay, that is amazing. And I mean that, truly amazing. Because as you're talking about this in my head, everybody, I'm sitting there going, I can't do that. I could never do that. I could never.
Oh, no, that's a lie.
Right, but I'm already telling myself, and maybe this is what we do, right? But I could never do that. 10 minutes? Do a painting in 10 minutes? I couldn't even figure out, the math, first of all. I don't even know if I could figure out what brush I wanted to use in that 10 minutes. I'm funny.
That's where the practice comes in. Yeah, so she gave us a bunch of, most of these brushes that are like kind of sitting behind me actually came from her, because the biggest brush I had was, like maybe this thick. And if you're painting that big, you need like thick brushes. So she ended up giving me and Jenna a bunch of like her brushes that she wasn't using anymore. She bought a new brand, and so she had a ton that she was willing to pass on to us. And so that was huge by itself. So getting to, run through the practice paintings, it was like, okay, this is the brush I need for this. This is the brush I need for this. I can get this amount done with one brush before I need to put it in the water and grab another brush. So the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it, and you kind of get familiar with your tools.
And see, that's what I was kind of thinking, that the more you do, the faster that this becomes. I mean, we had another artist on here. His name's Brian Snuffer. So now that you're on Truth, you need to go find him, because they're all amazing. Every one of the artists are amazing. Hold on. I apologize. But I asked him if he was a speed painter. And the reason I bring him up is because he's like, oh, I just knocked that out in like, I don't know, half an hour, an hour. Or I'm like, what? Are you a speed painter? He goes, no, I don't even know what really that is. I'm like, well, you belong to the speed club, speed painter club, where, I don't know, I put out like 50 brushes, everyone. I really do when I paint. I'm like, and I sit there and stare, okay, which one do I really want? And then it takes me like a half an hour to decide on the 10 that I might use, and I haven't even started yet. And I'm like, okay, right, I'm really bad, everyone. And everything has to be mathematical with me. So I don't know. I mean, I'm going to have to try it. I got to keep telling myself one of these days I will do it.
Yeah, well, the speed painting, speed drawing is just really helpful for that, because it gets you out of that decision paralysis where you're just overwhelmed with, so many options. Yeah, so having that timer, it forces you to make fast decisions, and you start to like just lean on your instincts and, your experience, and it just gets better and better as you go. So I would highly recommend it for any artist, especially if you're in that like artist block.
And that even might help with my own personal oils too. And the reason I say that is there's been 2 I've been really stuck on. Okay, most of them have come out really fast for me. Justice was my first statement piece. She came out pretty fast, everybody, but I'm making her up in my head. And I noticed that if I'm talking about something real, or I have to portray somebody real, that's going to make it even worse for me. And so the 2 paintings was rape culture, which I mean, I couldn't hardly get through without crying every single time, because it was such a heavy subject. And then the Savior, which I'm still not done with. I posted it online, but then now that I look, I'm like, I got to fix this, and I got to fix this and highlight this, and things are drying a little weird. I want to glaze it again, so I'm not quite done, but enough to at least say, here's my progress. And that's taken me 3 months. Right. But I would also cry and get really nervous because I'm portraying somebody real. But the reason I said speed painting is because the more I would draw this out, the more I would draw it out, I bet you I would get a lot more comfortable with doing somebody like the Savior, per se.
Yeah.
you know.
100%.
Interesting. So I love her work, everybody. Now tell everybody how you started. I kind of had that same thing. She's taken years and years of art school, everybody, and she's learned from the finest. Isn't that right?
I think to an extent, I don't know. It was mostly high school that like the high school teacher kind of like whipped me into shape with this is real. Like art's not just something silly to do on the side. Like you can really follow your dreams and make something of it. Right. So that was in high school. And then I went to college. I went to ASU for, it's called interdisciplinary arts degree, or interdisciplinary arts and performance degree. So it's like everything under the sun art-wise. So I got computer experience with like Photoshop and Premiere, so like video editing. And then I, took some performance classes and music classes. And so it was like a little bit of everything under the sun, which was really cool. But yeah, I graduated and then ended up going into graphic design. So I never actually thought I would get to really do anything with, the more fine arts.
Right.
I was drawing occasionally here and there. I mostly just used graphite pencil and then colored pencil. I actually hated painting. I wanted nothing to do with it. And I have now learned, being almost 30 years old, I finally have learned that if you say you hate something, God's going to push you right towards it. Like, yeah, I wanted nothing to do with painting. And now I absolutely adore it. I actually didn't start it until the pandemic. I really sat down and decided to give it a shot and fell in love with it. And
yeah, joking about that because you're pretty much a self-made artist because painting's not your thing. It's something you never did before, and you pretty much just kind of taught yourself, even though you might have had some classes. But even in classes, everybody, I don't know if you know this, at least in my experience, and I've been through art schools, right? They never came and showed me do this, do that. They might walk around and go, oh, that looks nice or whatever. But I never had a teacher that literally took me step by step. A drawing class, maybe, but painting class, no. Never, ever, like, step by step of what you have to do. You get more of that, like with these little wine and paint classes that you do, I swear.
That's fair, where it's more of like a step-by-step, which I got to do those a little bit because I was working at a nursing home and activities. Mm-hmm. So because I was naturally artistically inclined, they asked me and I decided to just go ahead and help with the painting classes. So I would lead like we didn't do, the sipping part, but we did the painting part. So I would lead the paint classes, but they were just very basic painting. So I wouldn't consider that like, I did that for like a year or two, but it wasn't until the pandemic that I really was like, okay, let's see if I can actually make something that would be like worthy of selling. And that's where I fell in love with it. But like Vanessa, getting to work with her for over a year now has really developed my skills. And I am so grateful for her.
That is so awesome.
It's been amazing.
I did have one professor who was a visiting professor. She wasn't even with the academy or the school, university full time. She was a visiting professor. And every once in a while she'd come by because I was very much in my own space where I box in and I like being in my own space. Mm-hmm. And she would kind of peek around the corner and she'd be like, if you just did a little bit of this, you just try that. And she'd walk away, and I would do it like, oh, but that was the most help with painting I think I've ever got. You're like, what? But never step by step, this is how we start. You get like mixing classes, but here, you're paying all these thousands of dollars to go to school and you're not learning step by step. So
and that's where I'm grateful for Vanessa because I did get more of that like step by step, like, nope, try it this way. No, you're blending too much. You need to like take it back a step, do easier strokes and
Very nice.
It was a lot more hands-on. So I think it was almost more valuable than some of my schooling experience.
I'm just saying this, guys, universities aren't for everyone. And if you could get like, I've heard other people and other leaders say this too, that if you can go and intern somewhere and, they're going to absolutely take that on. You're most likely going to be able to learn so much more that way. And even if you're trying to test out a field you want to do for a profession, what a great way to find out if that's for you. And you get the hands-on, see?
Yeah, I would say even for like someone who wants to be a business owner, just start your business. Like going to school to get a business degree is not going to do you well unless you're wanting to work in a big company where you kind of someone else is the CEO and you kind of get to just slide under them somewhere.
Right.
But if you want to be a business owner, just start your business, whatever that may look like. Just start laying out a business plan, figuring out how you can make it work.
You are absolutely right. In fact, that's what we teach at the high school. I'm like, and that started everyone when I was actually in the public school, because I was teaching art classes, right? And I had, oh, mercy, between middle school and high school, I might have had 4, 5, 6, okay, let me count, 6, 10. I had 10 different art classes. Okay. So my students really didn't know each other, and they might have been friends or saw each other in the hallway. These 3 didn't really hang out with each other, but they were like a fashion designer, a logo designer, and a kid that was starting an apparel business online. I'm like, oh, you 3 need to meet. You 3 so need to meet, right? And I called them after school, and I'm like, you guys, and they're like, what do we do, Miss Hamilton? I said, nothing. And showed them how to start a business plan and showed them how to collaborate together. Because I'm like, why are you waiting? You could start this right now at your age. You might need parents' permission for a few things, and I don't know, on all of that, what certain ages you have to, but why are you waiting? And even if you have to do this when you're 18, why wait? Why wait?
Yeah.
And
you can still get the plan in action and kind of figure out the things, like get the steps lined up, and then as soon as you get that green light, make it happen.
Right. So I love that you're inspiring people already. So everyone, you don't have to go to school to open a business. And in fact, me and Miss Lee, I have a podcast. I think it's like number 4. Miss Lee came on and she showed you guys how to do business plans. We'll ask her back if I hear you guys want her back, she's more than willing to come back and teach again. But you don't have to wait. But I think people get a little nervous about starting something new. It can be difficult, but I can just tell you that, the best thing you could do is you're investing in yourself. And if you believe in yourself, go make it happen. Right.
Yeah. Share that with God and nothing is impossible.
See how much she loves them. I'm telling you guys, we're kindred spirits when it comes to God. That is really something that drew me very much to her. I was just like, and no disrespect to anybody else. Just, there's people who really love the Savior, and then there's people who are super geeky out, kind of about that. And I happen to be one of those, right? I mean, I get unbelievably tickled when he is involved in my life. So I love to share that with you. So everyone, I'm going to share some of her artwork and things like that with you. We can start with your website or the ones that you sent me an email. I would imagine all the ones that you sent me an email might be on the website, but
actually, yeah, I think there's new paintings have been added since I sent you an email.
Okay, then we're going to go to that, and then we're going to pull that up and share that with everybody. Let me add that to the page here. And I was reading her beautiful bio, right? It's right under about, everyone. See right here. Look at this. First of all, look at this website. One of the things that really draws me to Kristine here is how beautiful her website is. And right, it's done so well. I love how things roll, how smooth it was. And yes, I see that you've got some new ones on here. I love that. That's the new one. Let's look at this right away. Look at that, the story of grace. So which one is this? Is this like number 1 that you did in 30 minutes, or?
So I'm honestly not sure. They all started to blur together, so I'm not sure which ones were done in which order. I should have kept better track. I labeled it number 2. I think it was maybe the 3rd one I did.
Okay.
But yeah, so this was one of my practice pieces to get me really familiar with the painting to be able to do the 36 by 48.
I'm just telling you guys, this is a practice piece. I'm just laughing, right? Because that is beautifully done.
Thank you. I know this is one of my favorite designs. You guys are free to read the description if you want to go check it out, but this was the first design where I really got to lean into the symbolism, where before I thought I was overthinking it and getting just too into my own thoughts about it. And in my head, it was, if you have to strain to really put symbolism in, then you're probably doing it the wrong way. But it was really it freed me up to really be intentional with everything that went into it. So each of the different flowers have a different meaning, and they each represent a different aspect of who Jesus is to us. So
tell us about that. So I'm going to see if I can Can everybody see that? That should be zoomed in on these flowers right here.
Yeah, so those are poppies. The big white ones are poppies, and white poppies are a symbolism of peace, which brings to mind, I don't remember the verse exactly, but that, Jesus has given us his peace, that, in his presence, there is peace. I'm blanking on the scripture, of course, because there is a light flashing at me.
Right.
I'm blanking on the scripture, but
it also reminds me of the Prince of Peace, which he is as well. That's beautiful. And then it's this a dragon, not a dragon. It's, what are they called? Snapdragon.
Close. So those are actually white gladiolas.
Okay.
They're also called sword lilies, which I really liked, and just brings to mind that Jesus is the Lion of Judah. He does carry that authority, and he has given us that authority. And I love that it's called the sword lily, but it's also that symbol of like peace, purity, and innocence, because it's that white color still.
Yes. And there's some beautiful ones right over here. Can everyone see that? Okay,
so
go ahead.
The ones in the middle of the leaves are jasmine, and jasmine actually means gift from God. So, of course, John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son. So it's a reminder that Jesus really was the gift given for us.
Oh, wow. I don't know. See, now I know about that, and maybe not everyone. I didn't know about the flower, the sword flower. But I don't know if our guests even knew that, with the difference of the flowers and the meanings that they had. And so I'm so thankful that you even explain what that means, and scripture references to go with it. That's even better. But I love.
I had to do a lot of research. I was looking up a lot of flowers, but I mean, really, there's a whole language of flowers, and it's just beautiful. Like, I love finding the symbolism in so many things, especially God's creations. So
I have
it was really special to me.
Because you said you were getting ready for this. So when you're speed painting, just to clarify to everybody, you already know what you're doing at this point, and you're ready to go. So how long does it take you to do the research and get everything ready to saying, okay, this is, kind of the collage, in other words, to kind of put it, but this is the medley I want to paint. And then do you draw it first? Do you draw it out? I mean, or is it just all stuck up here in the brain?
So I like to create reference photos. I think trying to paint from memory is a little bit trying to create an image in your brain just doesn't quite work the same way, because trying to figure out the lighting and the shadow and really getting the depth and to make it look at least semi-realistic in an amount of time. Having a reference photo is extremely important. And I think that's one of those lies that I believed when I was starting out in art, is if you don't paint from your imagination, you're doing it wrong. Like, there's some kind of falsehood with painting from a reference photo, but getting to work with Vanessa was one of those things that has freed me from that lie. Like, it's okay to use a reference photo. I do take the time, like I said, I do Photoshop. That was something I learned in school. So I take that time to layer my images and kind of create that collage with different things, so I can kind of get that feel for what I want it to look like. And then before I start my speed painting, I do go ahead and sketch it on ahead of time. That way I'm not having to think about proportions. I can just think about the colors and getting them down as quickly as I can.
Gotcha. Okay, well, that's something I might use Photoshop for. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a fan of it, and I'm old school. So when I do my reference picture, I literally physically collage it together.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so it's there, and so it's also an art piece in its own self, because I've made a complete collage of the painting I'm going to do, almost.
Wow. Okay, so do you find your images online and then print them out to collage them, or just like?
Not usually. It depends.
Okay.
Maybe a theme one. Like, I hate to keep bringing up rape culture, but we're going to talk about her later anyway. With rape culture, that image of the little girl with the hand, that is seen. In fact, even the movie Sound of Freedom has used that image in some of its promotions to show that little girl is very much noticed, and you might see, with the hand over her mouth.
Yeah.
And I was really inspired that kind of image I wanted, and then I would use that, and I filled it in with what I wanted. But my coloring was different on purpose. and the
Gotcha.
images, and then what goes behind it's different. And so even when I do my collage thing, so you won't see what goes behind my images because that's actually something I transfer on and paint myself. And
Oh,
then
all right.
right, once that all dries, and then I put the collage pieces in. But yeah, I create a collage piece, so I have these little mini artworks that I create, and I guess I probably should save them. I put them in my portfolio, but those are but I do. I love collage. So I find them in magazines. I find them in newspapers. I find them. I literally the Bible I used on this last one for me. So
Wow.
they come from different, but I'm very much old school, and I love the feel of real. Um,
That's fair.
right, it's like reading a book literally or digitally. I hate to read it online. I rather have the
Yeah,
book in my hands.
I agree with that
So
one.
but that's something I might venture on. I mean, I have my own, like I said, I have my own little vices with Photoshop, and that's just come out of a personal reason. But that might be something I would consider using it for, because I never thought about being able to create a digital collage before even painting. And I
Yeah.
think you're our first artist that's even mentioned that.
Oh,
So
really?
yes, so if
Oh my
there's
gosh,
other
it's such a
people,
valuable resource.
no, you should. I highly agree with you. So I think a lot of people might be scared to even try being artists because they're like, I got to come up with this in my brain, and I've got to just whip out that perfect rose. Well, no, guys,
Yeah.
put up a picture of the rose you like and try to copy it. See how you
Yes.
do.
Yeah, and you'll get more and more familiar with it. So then, you have that freedom to kind of venture out and make your own rose, change the way the petals are shaped. But when you're learning, it's 100% acceptable to figure out your concept and find your reference photos. And the concept itself, can take time. Like I said, I believed that if I wasn't divinely inspired and it didn't just fall in my lap, then I was doing it wrong. I was trying too hard.
Right.
I got to talk to an artist. I think his name is Pete Talak, absolutely incredible artist. And he says he spends months working on a concept. But if you look at his work, there's just so much symbolism and detail before he even touches a brush to a canvas.
Right.
It's absolutely amazing. So yeah, he's an artist I'd recommend looking up. He's got some really cool work.
I love that because that would help the ability help the ability to speed paint. It really would, or just paint in general, everyone.
Oh
Um,
yeah, the prep work
right.
beforehand. Yeah.
So how long does it take you to prep your idea before you come up with what you want to do?
So it depends. This one, or the one on the screen, I had already kind of created a design for it. I was wanting to do an Easter piece, and I had this idea. Actually, I was at the Trump rally. Vanessa got invited to
Okay.
paint, and while we were there, we were kind of just chilling in like a little garage while she was practicing her paintings. And so I just started sketching, and I got this idea for it while I was there.
Okay.
But yeah, so kind of just got the idea that I wanted to do like the lion and the lamb next to each other. And I had an idea that I wanted to do flowers. At that point, it was based on Psalm 23.
Oh,
Um, oh my gosh, one of my absolute favorite Psalms.
right.
So that's where I was at it. And like in that season, I was really just meditating on Psalm 23 a lot. So I got this idea for that painting, but then, I knew I wanted to do flowers, but I didn't know the symbolism behind every flower. So I had to do some research to find these flowers, and they just started like kind of falling into place. Like with jasmine, when I saw that that was gift from God, I'm like, okay, that has to be in there. And suddenly it transformed from Psalm 23 to be a painting about Jesus. So
Wow.
I actually did the first one as I released it for Easter. And then Vanessa decided that she was going to challenge us for graduation night, and was like, okay, this is the painting I want to do. So I had to change a couple things. In the original one, I had morning glories in there, but with my amount of time, I just could not squeeze them in. I just couldn't make it in that 30 minutes. So I had to nix those, but I still love the flowers that are all in there.
I do too. That was absolutely beautiful. And I'm really interested in the fact that you said Psalms, because that's like been in my orbit all year. I have said that I've talked about this, maybe not on the show, but I was telling somebody yesterday, in fact. I was like, every year we pick out words that have to do with Christmas. We throw them in a hat, and it's kind of our word for the year. And we buy a present that goes with each one of those letters, right? And Psalms was the word Psalms was the word that was chosen this year. And she was referencing Psalms, and I love that too. It just Psalms reminds us how much the Lord and our Father love music and poetry.
Yes.
And it is just healing to the soul. It's absolutely beautiful. I love reading Psalms. It's just one of my favorite things to read in the entire Bible. It's just really beautifully done. So you're inspired by that. It's nice. All right, talk to us about this one, because I've not seen this one either.
Oh, so it might have been a minute since you've been on my site, because I feel like I've had him for a while. So this one, I'll be honest, this was one where I didn't necessarily have to do a lot of prep work. It was more of I found a photo of this tiger and I'm like, I want to paint this.
Wow.
Yeah, so as I was painting it, I fell in love with it. This was the first time that I had tried black and white and combined with color, and I loved it. And so I loved his icy blue eyes. And yeah, I don't know, to me, it just represented like that mystery of faith that, faith really doesn't make any sense. It makes absolutely no sense to just believe that God is going to provide, to believe that things are going to work out because you have a heavenly Father that's looking out for you.
Right.
From a worldly perspective, it makes absolutely no sense. And I love that.
Right.
What is it?
Faith is something that you have to continue to, practice. Right. It's because it's that our humanness wants to convince us that this isn't, this makes no sense.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, the blue eyes in itself is just the mystery of faith, I think, when I look at that. But oh my heavens, it's gorgeous. I love tigers. I've loved tigers ever since I was a little girl. I love them. Wow, it's one of my favorites. So very beautifully done. I know, but so you guys have what I'm talking about, how talented of an artist she is. It's just absolutely gorgeous. All right, so we are going to get on to this so we can see how much she loves lions as well. There's several here, right? That's another. I guess I have 3. The lion is just so majestic as well.
It is.
Big cats, maybe I should just include that. I love big cats in general. I think
that's fair.
The more that I've seen the lion represented with the Savior lately, it's really drawn me in, maybe. But I've always say the tiger since I was a little girl. But my love for the lion images has been something since 2020, since I've seen it portray with the Savior so much. And I know the Lion of Judah, I do. Yeah. But I love the combinations, and I've been seeing that in so many different aspects and forms that just has put a different perspective on it for me. So very nicely done. Look at this one. This one here, man, I just think about that pure relationship between, mom and a baby, and that love, this fettered joy. I love it. I love it.
Thank you. I know that's one of my favorites.
Is it? And the light that is there from the sunlight is so beautifully done, and the reflections are so beautifully done. It's a very inviting picture.
Thank you.
I could geek out, guys, on her website, which I did before. I really could, and just oh wow. So how has it been as I'm showing these off? How has been the reach out to you? What is your audience saying about your work?
Well, so my audience is absolutely amazing. I am so grateful for them that they're always so encouraging, and I appreciate them. But lately my work has been changing a little bit. Again, remember I said, like, if there's something that you're kind of wary of, that you decided that you're never going to do, God's going to exactly point you in that direction. So one of the things that I said that I would never do is paint people. Yes. And lately that's exactly what I've been doing. So I'm actually starting to break away from the lions. I still want to continue to paint them because I absolutely adore them. But yeah, God's leading me towards painting people. And yeah, my followers and my audience have just been so encouraging and accepting of that. Because, it's always a little bit nerve-wracking when it's like they started following me like when I am painting lions, and now I'm completely changing it up on them. So it's like, are they going to decide that they don't like my style anymore? Like, I'm still finding my voice as an artist. So they've been just really encouraging. And I think our even bigger fans of my work than I am sometimes. Like they see more of it, I guess, just see it from fresh eyes. So they have just a lot of kind words and love to just pour out on me, to just encourage me about my new paintings, which is really helpful. Because, you know, after you're staring at a canvas for a long time, it starts to look kind of stale to you.
Right. And you're so right, because, you get kind of stuck in a rut of, not necessarily a rut per se, but a comfortability. Like, okay, I could really do animals well, so I'm just going to continue in this comfort zone.
Yeah.
I'm not going to branch out here at all,
Yep, that's exactly where I was.
Right? Oh,
yeah. And I'm going to just give y'all a tip. If you're comfortable, it means something's about to change. Because
right?
comfortability and growth do not go together.
No, it doesn't. Oh, it does not. So I am it just took a minute, because we have people in the chat saying hello, and I'm just saying hello back. It's so nice to have you guys come and visit and say hello. That's awesome. Thank you for your shout outs. Oh, you guys are awesome. I hope that you're enjoying. Now, here is my true love. Okay. I love elephants. Oh, and baby ones at that. And I'm the opposite of you. I used to say I could never paint people, and that's the first thing that I was given. I was like, okay, but they were, like I said, they're made up people. So I got a comfortability of them, and I found no fear in that, because it was my made up human. And so, but then when he's like, okay, now you're going to paint real people. And I'm like, and the Savior was the first real person. Okay, thank you.
Going right into the deep end.
Right. But I also say I can't do animals. So now that I've said that, guess what's probably going to be coming down my way? Be like, 100%. All right, so now you're right. And that's what they do. But if you don't branch out, how do you not know what those talents can be if you don't expand what you can do? But okay, elephants, guys. Oh my heavens. Like, okay, so I love elephants so much that even one of my students, when we were making little things, made me this little tiny elephant. I mean, isn't this just adorable? And sent it to me as a gift before they graduated and left. But I mean, I do. And you're from Arizona, and I used to live in Tucson. And so have you been to the Tucson Zoo?
I have not. I've heard great things about it, though.
The elephant encounter, it is huge. I mean, they got a huge one, and they treat it so well, and it's so awesome. And they celebrate the babies' birthdays there, right? So you see these 1-year-old little babies or 2-year-old little babies with the gifts and the watermelons and the whatever. And they had Nandi when I was first there. And I don't know, she might be 10 now. But I saw that little girl put her big, huge daddy right in check when it was her birthday. He was wanting to come over and see her gifts, and she's 1 year old, and she just stood her ground like, no, you're not. I'm like, oh my God. But I do. There's just something majestic to me about an elephant. They're extremely intelligent. They're very loving, especially when it comes to protecting their own.
I think we think of them as like gentle giants, but you cross them or you threaten one of theirs, they are not gentle.
Right. So
don't mess with a mama elephant. I know we talk about mama bears, but mama elephants, like, that's a whole nother force.
No, they will put that baby right in the middle of that herd and circle it like you have no idea. It is such a powerful thing. It just shows, again, that connection between, and dads have a different job, protection, right? But those mamas will protect their babies, and it just gives you that's what it's all about. It's an instinct they're already born with. And I love it. But it's my personal favorite, everyone. Not that she's not great at everything she does. And I'm telling you, she's a beautiful artist. But I love the elephant. And she knows that. I told her last time, I'm like, I love the elephant. So very nicely done. Very nicely. And as you can see, there's so many beautiful paintings here. I mean, there really are. Look at this with the beautiful blue eyes again. Leopard, right? Or is it a jaguar? No, leopard. Sorry.
Honestly,
spots.
I have looked up the difference. It's a leopard. I can't remember the difference between a leopard and a jaguar, though. I've looked it up. I'm trying to learn.
Right.
I know it's not a cheetah. That one is a leopard.
Right.
If you show me a jaguar and a leopard, it might take me a minute to figure out which one's which.
And it's true because, jaguar, I always think of black, or a panther. I guess.
Well, because a panther is just a black jaguar. Like
Right.
it would be the opposite of albinism. I think it's
Yeah.
like called melanism or something, where it's like
Okay.
overly pigmented.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're beautiful. Now I'm gonna say I love foxes too, but they just ate my chicken, so we're not really happy with the foxes lately in my area.
Oh no, I'm so sorry about that.
Because I can't be mad at them. There were 3 fox cubs in my backyard, and I saw this like the next day or so after my chickens went disappearing.
Oh
And
no.
about 4 of them went disappearing, and I was like, okay, how can one fox do that? But by the way, yes. But then the next day or so, I see these 3 little, like 3-month-old fox cubs in the back with no mom around at all. And when my dogs even ran to go scare them off, they ran up to my dogs like, "Are you our new mom?" I'm like, okay, how can you be mad at this? I mean, they're just trying to survive, and I wasn't happy, and no, did I want them to kill my chickens, but then on the other hand,
Yeah. They're just trying to make it through.
They're just trying to make their life too. But the cost of my chickens, but okay. Luckily I have 10 more backups, but wow.
That's good.
Yeah. Yes.
And no more going in Jesus' name.
That's right.
You're just gonna declare that protection over them.
Right. I hope we find a mama, and my dogs are not it. Oh, but they did, and my dogs had no fear of them either, which was really weird. I mean, at first they barked at them, but yeah, no. The dogs were like, "Oh, hey," and I have girl dogs. So they're like, "Oh, you need a mom?" No, we don't. No, we don't need. We don't need any more babies around here. Oh, and you are doing humans. So tell me, are these new?
Yep, those are both new. The one on the left is my newest.
Wow.
And yeah, talk about getting in the zone. I stayed up all night one night working on her. I was so excited with how it was turning out.
Wow. And is this somebody you know, or is this a figment of your imagination?
So this is an example of a reference photo I found online. I found a model like making that face. Like, I think it's pretty true to what she looks like. And then I created a digital collage and added the butterflies and added the flowers. And yeah, it was just this idea that God had given me. And it took me probably a few hours to put it together. I don't think this one took me days like the other one did, but this one did take me a little bit.
How long did it take you to paint her?
I did the math. I don't remember. I want to say maybe 8
not
hours.
A speed. Okay, not a speed painting.
Not a speed painting, no. No, this was just completely different to me altogether. This was one of my first paintings. I'm used to painting on a black canvas. That's what I've learned with Vanessa, especially for speed painting. That's really helpful because it's a lot less building of your colors. You can start with black, kind of layer on there. With this one, I did a gray wash canvas and started plugging in my values from there and then adding the color. And so this one was completely new, completely out of my comfort zone. So it took me about 8 hours, I think.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah. She's very well done. So everybody knows you can buy black canvases already pre-made, or if you just prep your canvas, you can just take a roller, by the way, with acrylics and put out your paint and get one of those smaller rollers. I like those a little bit better. I think they're more controlled than a big regular house roller. And you can go ahead and prep your canvas and let it dry so that when you're ready to go, and it doesn't have to be just black, it can be any color per se. But if you wanted to create your own black canvas, just take a white one, guys, and paint the whole canvas that color, let it dry, and then you're ready to go.
Yep.
So, or you can buy them pre-done, and your choice. I've seen them both.
Depending on the size, like for Michael's, I think the biggest they go up to is 18 by 24. So for anything bigger than that, I have to prep it myself. But I have fallen in love with like this mid-tone wash color, so I think I might be changing directions a little bit.
Right. I like to paint my canvas backgrounds too first. I mean, I very much like to do that. And it's cheaper. I'll be real honest, everyone. I mean, you're going to pay for the colored canvases, and the bigger they are, the more expensive they are. So, right. I mean, that's just good FYI. You don't have to go and spend all that kind of money. You can paint your own canvas. Heck, one of the things that made me so mad at we went to museums when I was at Columbia. I had a great professor that would take us to local galleries, and we went and saw, and the artist that was headlined had, I guess, the rainbow, right? I mean, it wasn't like Pride Month or anything, but just had a rainbow of canvases. So there was a canvas that was red, orange, and they might even not even put in the rainbow formation. But the point is that the canvases were just blank, solid colors. And each canvas, not the collection, each painting was going for $200,000. A blank canvas of red.
Oh,
and I was so mad. I was like, are you kidding me? A kindergartner could do this. Are you? I was losing my mind. I'm like, $200,000 for a canvas that's just red. I was like,
man.
oh my gosh. And it, to me as an artist, and I've had other artists that agree with me. They're like, right? I mean, the work and the detail you put into that for somebody just like I was talking to was I mean, I can't remember if it was Ray or the colorblind artist. It might have been Ray, about Jackson Pollock taking gallons of paint and just dripping it like any other kid could do. And he's considered a master, and that just drove him nuts, and me too, because I'm like, and that's worth how many millions?
Oh my goodness. But I mean, you know what? Good for them. I'm glad they're making it and they're finding a way to make it. And it's all right, we'll just keep trucking along.
Right, but
We'll
it
get
just
there.
blew my mind when I saw that. My professor was like, are you going to calm down? No, I'm not going to calm down. I mean,
Like, I'm literally seeing red.
Right. I'm like, we're looking at $2 million worth of canvases, and I could literally take a roller and just do the same thing.
Oh my goodness.
Call it jealousy. We're not perfect, everybody, you know, but it was like a slap in the face to me as an artist, because I had put in a semester just to do one. And, you know, you're like, huh. But again, it's my personal flaw of jealousy. But this is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. We're going to get off of that. But again, you know, you guys can paint your own canvases. Maybe you'll make $200,000. Think of me when you do, you know, like she told me I could. All right, look at this one. Now I got to read this, because when I look at this, it almost, to me, and you probably did not mean for this, but you know that time, and you've heard the story of when you go walking through the tunnel, or you're about ready to pass into heaven, and you see the light.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of, when I saw this one before, I was like, that's what it kind of reminded me of. And your description is nothing about this, but for me, it reminded me of that moment of that spirit where you're just going into your spirit and you're off to the next world. And to me, that's beautiful. I
was hesitant to even write a description for this piece, because that's exactly what I want, is people to find their own moment for it. Like, it's going to mean something different for everyone.
Right. And
yeah, I think we've all had that kind of moment where it's just that full-on surrender of just,
right.
You know, oh yeah, I can't even put it into words.
It is so beautiful. But around her, you just see almost like this glow to me, which looks like your soul or your spirit. In my way, or maybe it's the spirit of, you know, of heaven, or maybe it's the Lord's spirit, or whatever, but it reminds me of spirit.
I love that.
And that's just what it kind of reminded me of, and not in a bad way, guys. You know, we all gonna die, but that knowing that your soul and your spirit gets to return to the Father, you know, and that's just kind of how I took it. And just like, this is such a tender picture, and I don't know if you, obviously, you know, you have your own interpretation, but I agree with you. I even, when my paintings are being shown at a gallery or a museum, I like to walk behind people. I don't like to put my picture on the flyers or anything like that. I like to walk behind people and see what they have to say. I don't like to give them little intros, or, you know, what is this painting about? Maybe a title. And then hear what they have to say, and, you know, see that they, you know, their things. And it's always awesome, because their interpretation.
Yeah.
I loved it so much that even when I take my students to a gallery, I said, I don't tell them anything about how I feel. I let them go through and take their own views and write down their own feelings. And then we go back and read the descriptions. I'll tell them no titles, no descriptions. Just walk through the gallery and ignore the little, you know, names and titles. Because even a title can interpret your whole.
Yeah, for sure.
And I like that you like that as well, because you should, everyone who buys art, you should have a personal experience with that piece, and it should connect with you somehow. This one very much connected for me. So this is my second favorite. It's really kind of going for the first almost, but the elephant still tugs. That's just because I love my baby elephants, my elephants. But this one really, and it just reminded me of that we have a spirit in us.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we think of that. We think of ourselves as very human, which we are, but we're so much more than that.
Yeah,
much more.
I agree.
And everyone, this is titled "Here I Am." Here I am, right? And if you guys can't read this, it's this painting has so many beautiful ways it can be interpreted. See, for her, it's a picture of release and surrender. And when we reach that point of letting go and letting God take its place on the throne of our heart, it's a place of intense vulnerability and refining, and a place where complete freedom begins. It's the time of worship where tears flow and we are overwhelmed with the grace of God in a wonderful mix of love, joy, and repentance. It's the moment that we feel his presence and truly realize his powerful love for us. So, well, I went back and read that. It even almost clarified or made it solid my idea of this, because when we pass on and our spirit goes back home,
Mm-hmm.
we're at that moment when we become completely free.
Yeah.
It's that moment where we literally get to be overwhelmed by the grace of God, and we get to feel his presence truly. And so for me, it confirmed what I saw in the painting. So I think you did a really really good with the description as well.
Thank you. I love that it confirmed it for you, because I feel like that's always something I'm a little bit hesitant with descriptions. Is like, all right, is this going to like talk them out of what they originally saw, or
right?
I love that.
I'm always worried about that. I haven't named my one on Christ yet. Number one, like I said, I don't think I'm 100% finished. But I think about that for a while. And then giving them a name or giving them a certain title sometimes can absolutely interpret, what you feel on somebody else. And it's hard to title these guys. It is, it really is.
It can be intimidating, yeah. There are times I'll like text my sister because she's definitely really prophetic. So I'll text her and be like, hey, so do you have anything that, Holy Spirit's speaking to you about, maybe a title for this piece? And so she'll pray on it and let me know what comes to mind.
Isn't that awesome? See how much prayer's going on here, everyone? It is absolutely, and it's sold out. So
I'm working on another one that's actually bigger, but
nice.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it's going to look like varying wise.
That does not surprise me. How fast did that one sell?
I think that one sold within the first day that I posted it.
Wow.
Yeah. Which shows me that it's like really speaking and resonating. So
yes, it's
encouraging.
And we have another one here, everyone. Between the prayer and the promise. Tell us about this one.
So I love this painting so much. I've done so many different versions of it, but the overall for this design is, like I said, or like the title says, between the prayer and the promise. There's always this waiting period between where we say amen and where we see that promise fulfilled and where we see that prayer come to fruition. So it's, he tells us to be still and know that he's God, to know that he's fighting the battle for us. So it's that waiting period of knowing and waiting in faith that God is going to take care of it, that he is answering that prayer, but we have to wait for it. We have to be patient for it. So I see it as kind of her looking on and, waiting for God to give her that next step, waiting for her to get that next instruction from him. And then what I loved about this painting is the butterfly on the top. That butterflies represent transformation. They represent a lot of things, but for me in this painting, it represents transformation. So with where I placed it, it's behind her. She doesn't see it. And that's often how we are in that waiting period, that we don't see the transformation that's happening. It's behind the scenes. It's not right in front of our face, but God is working. Right. And it's, after we're out of that waiting period that we kind of see it all come together. Yeah, and then she's holding on to baby's breath, and baby's breath is representative of faith and, it's love, but it's a specific kind of love, like endless love, something like that. So as we're in that waiting period, we have to hold on to God's faithful love and hold on to our faith.
Nice. I kind of personally needed to hear that a little bit today, because sometimes, while we're waiting, we get so impatient.
100%.
And, and it could be just literally a swing, and, you're right there. But
Yeah.
it's just interesting because it gives you this ability that you need to still hold on, but it's right there. It's right, almost ready to push you and go, here I am, and
Yeah.
right there for you. But it's very gentle and very, very beautiful. I mean,
Thank
I can
you.
even see this woman in different color dresses, or,
Yeah.
right? I mean, sorry. Good heavens. 1 second. See, I'm talking way too much.
No,
The
you're good.
butterfly in the woman. I mean, it just, you could see it. If somebody personally, and that's a good question. If somebody personally said, "I really love this painting, but could you do her in a pastel yellow?"
Yeah, that's true. Like making it customized for the person. I personally love the purple, but I was looking at trying it in a blue and different colors.
Well,
Yeah, even like changing the hair color. So I love the paintings of women like this where it's more from behind. So it could be anyone.
do you take people who do custom requests? If somebody
Yeah.
said, "I really love this, but like I said, it's not my favorite. We're just going to use yellow. Could I have that in a yellow?" Oh, now your cat, my dog, my husband. From our house to yours, we are literally bringing it from our house to yours.
It's all right. It shows we're real people.
So, I mean, but people could reach out to you and say, "Is there ever a possibility you could do that?"
Yeah, 100%. I
I
love
love it
getting
when
the
you guys say
opportunity
that.
to make customized work for people.
And I love that too, because I think that brings in even more people too that might be 90% sold on something, but would want a little something tweaked, or hey,
Yeah.
my
Or it's like,
favorite.
oh my goodness, it reminds me of this, but not quite. So if we could just change this little thing.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's
It's
awesome
only
getting to
going to
make.
make, yeah, it's only going to make your business and you as an artist, even more popular, because, you're hearing your clientele's voices and that
Yeah.
service. So, but no, I love how she is too. I wouldn't change her, and I hated to give you any kind of. I'm not trying to critique. I was just
Oh
asking
no, you're good.
because you don't know. Do you take custom orders? It's good for our viewers to know if you do that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm always open to hearing like ideas or hearing what people want to see painted.
Beautiful, beautiful. She's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. All right, so I want to go to her home so everybody can see, right, how you can find it. Again, under my Rumble chat, everybody, if you're new and you don't know, after my show is over, I post all the links of where you can find people underneath the permanent chat on Rumble. So you'll see the link to her website, you'll see the link to her social medias, and because we want to support our artists, we want to support our communities. That's how we lift up each other in a nation, right? Is by supporting them, these beautiful guests that I have on. And so you guys can reach her. It's going to be KristineJMO.com. Okay. It's with a K, KristineJMO.com. And again, I will post those links under my permanent Rumble chat. Let's talk about your website, because you created your website as well too. So
Yep.
is this no?
No, I did.
I was like, I thought you did. Now, is this
Yeah.
from your digital arts training? Is it where you learned a little bit more about it with graphic designs, or how did you learn about doing your website? Look at this, everyone! How beautiful this is.
So for my website, there wasn't exactly a class that was, dedicated to website building, but I think having that background of graphic design and kind of figuring that out, because I would say my degree was a lot of teaching us how to be self-taught, if that makes sense.
Right.
There was literally one class I took where the teacher or the professor gave us a login for basically a tutorial website, and she was like, go explore on there, go learn how to do this on there. I think at that point it was an animation class. So it just kind of gave me that confidence of figuring out that whatever challenge is in front of me, I can learn how to do it. I can find resources online, like I'm going to figure out how to do it. So it kind of gave me that confidence to figure out how to build my own website. I did use Weebly as my platform. And like I said, having that graphic design background, I think kind of just helps me with giving the composition and design of what I want it to look like, and, the story that it's going to tell. And then I did my research of looking at other artist designs, looking at Vanessa's website, looking at like 3 or 4 different artists, and kind of like figuring out what I did and didn't like about each website and what I wanted to incorporate into my own. So
now,
yeah.
This is so beautifully done, everyone. And I will tell you this: I have reached out to her about my own art website because it's not my forte either. I mean, you can put up a basic one, which I do have, and I do like it on black. And the one I chose on my personal art website is black. I don't like how everything fits. I like how smooth and clean this is. But as much as you like canvases that are black, I think artwork pops out more on black. And every teacher will argue that till the cows come home. They want it on a white wall, and they want white sides, and they want, and I totally disagree. And when you put artwork, and if you don't believe that, just take a picture and put it on like a Word document and change the document's color in the background and just watch how it pops.
Yeah.
And I think black makes artwork sometimes pop more. That's kind of what I wanted for my thing. But it's not, the best website. And I find that that's not necessarily my forte either. But this is something she is very, very talented. And I personally reached out and said, okay, I would love you to help and offer that, and I want to pay her to do that. So I don't know, is that something you're thinking about doing, is designing websites?
I have been. Yeah, I'm actually working on one for a gentleman that, how would I describe it? He's a hunter. So we're building out his brand and his merchandise for his like hunting brand. Yeah, so it's something I actually really enjoy doing. It's not something I would have ever thought I would enjoy doing, but I really have fun with it. It's like telling a story, essentially, whatever brand or artist or whoever it is that it's representing. It's telling a story through even like the color choices. It's evoking feeling just based on fonts and the style. And just then, you go into like incorporating the word choices and really portraying what this is about or who this is about. So it's a lot of fun. It's like telling a story to me.
I can't imagine how you got kind of started on creating websites for other people.
I created my own and went from there.
Right? I bugged her pretty hard. I don't know if she necessarily wants me to say this to you guys, but I bugged her pretty hard because the first thing that was on my mind was our youth. And I'll talk about that here in just a minute. But, her personal touch to her artwork carries over to her websites as well. And you don't normally get that from the people that I have spoken to about building websites. First of all, the first reaction I've got, and if you're a web designer out there, please don't go and tell people everything about your website's terrible, because you're going to shut them right down, and I'm going to say next. And my website for my school, I personally designed myself the first one. I'm not a web designer. I did the best thing. It was more important about opening the school. Then, and especially since I don't really work from the website, it's not something that you're going to get my curriculum from. Well, you are per se, but it's not something I go and work with my students on an every single day basis. So it's more about, here we are. This is who we are.
It's just like a representation,
right?
For people who are curious about.
It's an advertisement, everybody. It's not something that I use on my platform every day with my students. So, but then, I don't take critiques well either. And that, there's a whole nightmare to that as well. Professors who literally swore at my paintings and condemn them, it can make a huge impact on your life as well. But when you're telling it and you're doing your website, when she says that there's a story to be told, it's just like her paintings. She brings in the story. She spends the time asking. She really wants to hear. She prays over what she wants to bring. And she designs these stories, these websites, almost as if they're a book. That's how talented she is. I blew me away the detail and thought and care she had for each time she wanted to represent somebody or something. And I imagine you feel the same way with your work that you do every day, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, I guess artists are storytellers in their own right. But she takes us on to web design. And like I said, from the other ones I had interviewed and had met with, everything was just tear me down. All they could do is tell me all the things that were wrong. instead of even learning anything about who we were or what we represent. So I'm going to tell you guys, you need a website design. This is your girl. It's your girl. And if you guys haven't seen the new website that I have been posting about and posting all over Truth and all over Twitter and all over Facebook and all that other stuff, this is my storyteller. And that's what I'm saying. I was able to really build an amazing bond with her just over that, because I was surprised, first of all, that she even took the time to sit there and go, okay, well, what's the vision? And I'm like, oh man, we just need to call her that, because that's kind of like what she always tells me. I keep hearing vision. And to be able to tell the story, and it's like, it was just really important to me, and not be tore down. And to feel like you're still represented in the project. And as a customer, we used to, back in the day, we used to call that customer service. I don't know how much that exists anymore,
No.
right? But
it's kind of out the window.
She's got it. So if you're not buying her artwork, please reach out. I don't know her schedule. I don't know if I should even be promoting that about her, but I've
You're good. I'll figure out how to make it work.
Right? As I saw what she did, I was like, you really should think about doing this on the side. You have got an amazing talent, not only with your artwork, but also with this. Right?
Well, and I have fun doing it. So I think that's the best part.
Yes, it is. So how do we support you? Because we've talked about a few things too. I welcome her to Truth, everybody. So how do we find you?
I just created my account this week. I haven't posted anything, so I will try to get some things up and running on there.
Okay, that is awesome, because I've been bugging her. I was like, because these art groups I belong to and that I see, and you guys on Truth Social have really inspired me to not only learn about these groups, but to see all these beautiful things. And you guys are selling work there, and I'm seeing auctions going on, and it's becoming a beautiful place. I don't think most people think, when they think Truth Social, they think, oh, it's just Donald Trump's website. It's way more than that, everyone. They have everything from gardening groups to art groups to music groups to self-made, patriot-made businesses. It is just turning out to be so much fun, and seeing everybody celebrate and show off their work. And I'm hearing from multiple guests how they are actually selling more now on Truth than any other platform.
Wow,
so people who are buying, you guys are buying the artwork and supporting our wonderful Truth Social people. We are extremely grateful for you. And, that's amazing. But it's just in the last few months, I think since April almost, it's just really exploded with the groups. So welcome. I don't work for Truth Social. I just really like what they're doing. But then, it's things like that. Twitter has, what's it called? It's not threads, but where you can chat. They all have their own little avenues that they're building and stuff. And this is something I'm enjoying. So make sure we'll get you into some of these groups, and you start showing this off. So how do they find you on, what are your platforms besides Truth?
So besides Truth, which is, like I said, still brand spanking new, I am on Instagram and Facebook. Both are under like the handle Kristine JMO. I tried to kind of just keep it the same across every platform. Actually, same on Truth, it's at Kristine JMO. And then for Facebook, it's like my full name, Kristine J. Monaghan. I'm on there all the time. I'm trying to post more often. I kind of took a little bit of a break the last couple weeks just to refocus. Like I said, I feel like God's been pulling me in a different direction lately.
Well, sometimes if we don't take care of ourselves, though, either, how do you continue on? And we just need to have those breaks where we walk away from things,
It's okay to hit the pause button.
It's okay, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm excited. And again, I will have her social media social media is listed and her website listed. And then you guys can see she's got her price listed. She takes custom orders. She's expanding out to web design. I don't know her schedule for that, because you're still in an internship, right? Or are you finished with this now that you've graduated?
We've kind of paused the internship. Like I said, Vanessa's got a lot of amazing adventures up ahead, so I think her attention's going to have to be on that for now. But lately, God's been putting on my heart to start or go to an online art school that I found. So I might start doing that in the next couple months.
See how we need to support her, guys?
Huh?
This stuff's not cheap, everybody. You guys need to buy some artwork and help her fund her way to school, right? So she'd end up with all this debt.
Oh, yeah, no, I won't go into debt. I will save up until I can afford to go. I learned my lesson. We're not doing debt no more.
Right. Right. I had a Dave Ramsey my way out of it. You know, I mean, I still have some college debt from Columbia now too, but my husband and I literally, if you don't know the Dave Ramsey program, it's where you take the cash that you earn, you break it up into envelopes and you literally just spend what you have in your envelopes and you decide this goes to groceries, this goes to bills, this whatever, and you pay for everything in cash. And you get away from the credit cards and the loans and whatever. And you really learn appreciation because when the money's gone, it's gone.
It's gone. There's no going.
Right. That's why I said we've Dave Ramsey ourselves out of debt. So, but it's really interesting. They even give you your own allowance. Like, yeah, you forget to do an envelope for like, you know, going out, dating your spouse still, all that kind of stuff. Or you're like, oh yeah, you got to make sure that. But
yeah. Or there's just those little things that pop up. Like, I don't know.
But you know, we want to support her, guys. So she's trying to get some money so that she go to art school, which I am thrilled. She's told me about it. I've looked into it. It's a really neat program. So another way to support her, please, you get beautiful artwork. You could have something custom made. And it's a great way to help her continue on with her path because we want her to continue making more. Absolutely. You know, a gift is, you know, not a gift if it's not shared around the nation, everyone. So let's support Kristine, right? What else can we say? I always love to finish with my guests as you inspire others to do something that you've done. What would you say to our guests?
Ooh, to try something that I've done personally?
Yeah, I mean, because I think so many people sit there and say, I can't do it. Or even if they don't want to become an artist, you've talked about opening a business and starting right away. Yes. Doing something, drawing it out, not having fear, doing it over and over again. But what would you say to people that are nervous about just even branching out? What would be your words of inspiration?
Ooh. Well, so for one thing, kind of going back to like the business owner ordeal is, you know, God has given us the ability to gain wealth. I can't remember what scripture that is. I believe it's in Deuteronomy. Don't quote me. But I believe he's called us all to be business owners in some capacity. It doesn't have to be a big corporation like Walmart, but even just a mom and pop shop or making and selling something. There's even print on demand things like you can design t-shirts that have some kind of message, something that's on your heart that you want to share with people. You can do print on demand t-shirts. There's so many avenues out there that I really do think that we should all be some kind of business owner. Right. So I think it's just finding your niche, finding what the people that you want to serve, the community you want to serve, or even your passion and cause. You know, what cause do you want to support? What do you want to make a difference in? And then kind of working backwards from there and looking at what's in my hand. Do you like to bake? Maybe you can go into selling cookies or cupcakes, or if you like to write, that might be a good hint that God's calling you to write a book, or maybe even starting a blog. You know, what is in your hand? God has given you something. He gives seed to the sower. For Moses, it was, you know, his shepherd's staff. So whatever is in your hand, God's going to bless it. He's going to use it. So yeah, just encouraging you that, you know, don't get caught up on what you don't have or the resources that you think you need. Look at what you have and commit it to God's hands. You know, that's what Jesus did with the fish and the loaves. He, you know, how does the scripture say it? Like he blessed it. And one of the pastors I was listening to is basically when he blessed it, it then committed it into God's hands. And from there, God was able to multiply it. So whatever is in your hands, ask God to bless it and you're going to see it prosper. So yeah, I hope that encourages you guys.
It already has encouraged me. You know, I do. I love, like I said, I love having you guys on. I get to try new things I don't necessarily feel comfortable with. And I'm an artist, everyone. But we all have our fortes, we have our niche, but it helps me realize that I can branch out and I can do something different. Sorry, I am having a day, but give me 1 minute.
No, you're good. But I think it's true that, like, we're not just a one-trick pony.
Right.
For me, I love to do painting, but I also love graphic design, and I enjoy website design, oddly enough, and I love writing. So whatever your passion is, whatever you like to do, God will help you use it.
It's funny that you said writing, because I do like to write. I've taken a serious break, because once you go through like 12 years of college, you come out when you graduate, and at least with your master's by that point, and I'm going to be going back and I continue on my education, of course. Mm-hmm. But I needed a break. I needed a break. I'm like, if I write another 100-page book, I'm going to lose it, and it's not for me. I'm doing research for a school. Even though with my master's thesis, I got to choose my subject, luckily. But a lot of times when you're in a class, you don't. And that 15-page, 20-page, 30-page, whatever thing you're writing because the teacher gave it. And I just got so sick of writing. But I've been told so many times you need to write a book about your life, and what you've gone through. And I've really felt inspired, and I do really love writing. And I might give that a go here now in my future. But but I was like, I'm not an author. But then I saw my little son, who I'm encouraging. He's now in college. He's older, but still my son, who's legally blind, whipping out books of his own, because I told him he could do it. I said, you could do anything you want to do, and if he can do it, everyone, it doesn't have to be a big book. Sometimes he writes, short stories, start with that. But I love that you said that too, because it doesn't have to be painting. We're not here to sit there and say that you have to do painting. Whatever, I love that you said whatever God put in your hand is your talent. And if you have faith in yourself and faith that God's going to be there with you, practice makes perfect also, everyone, right? Don't be upset if you fail the first time. I love it when you fail. And people think I'm crazy, and I don't mean F on paper. I mean, fail. When we invent something is a great example, and it doesn't work the first time, I get all excited about that, because I'm like, how are we going to fix it and make it work? Because don't expect yourself to have something perfect right off the bat.
Yes.
Just know
I love that. That actually ties into, I was reading, 1 Corinthians 13, all about like the love chapter. And in the Passion Translation, I don't remember what verse, but it says, love does not take failure as defeat. Right. So don't confuse the two. Failure does not equal defeat. Defeat would be giving up. So failures are just how we learn. They're part of the process.
It is. Mm-hmm. And how do you know victory if you don't know failure? Yeah. It's kind of like, how do you know true love if you've never seen, hate? And we don't want to see it, but there's always a good. How do you know good if you don't ever see evil? And we don't want to see evil, but it really hones in the other side of that. But don't think failure. I like the failure one, by the way. Don't take failure as something bad. If I took failure, and I love her. I personally think she's one of my favorites. She is my favorite, just behind me. If I would listen to that professor, I would have never continued on. And he cussed that thing up right and told me how I would never be an artist, and this was the worst piece of junk, and it swore at me with F and this and F and this. I mean, literally tore that down. She's been in 17 different galleries, and I may not paint like Kristine does or any other guests I have, but this is my style of painting. I like to tell historical stories that are uncomfortable for a reason. That's me. I want you to know history. But if I would listen to them, I would have said I'm a failure and I would have given it up. But just don't. Just know that, what? And just say, okay, well, I like it. Or, yeah, I get to it. And that's why I hate critiques, everyone. I do. I'm like, oh, okay, you're just going to tear me up. And I'm learning to love them because I'm receiving a lot more usable critique, not something that's vengeful and hateful. So don't give up. Be inspired. Listen to what Kristine has to say. I love what you had to say. Anything else that you want to share with our viewers?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay. All right. Well, I am so honored to have you, and we will be sharing this again on all the social medias to follow up. And please reach out to her. Please support our guests. Please support them. They are working hard to create beautiful things to enlighten us, to give us ideas, inspiration, and they're all working for a goal. And I would love to see Kristine reach the goal to be able to continue her education in art school. So everyone, reach out, help her out, and give her a follow on her social medias for sure, because we want to find out how she's doing as she's creating more human images and things like that, right? So it's been a true blessing, sweetie, to have you on today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute honor.
Oh, anytime. And we're going to have you back again as you're continuing your journey, I'm sure. So you have
next time I'll get to announce that I'm going to school.
That's right. That's what we'll have her on. Even if it's for 5 minutes, we'll celebrate with her. We're like, woohoo, we're going to art school. Right? And we will have a celebration. And I am so grateful. Like I said, I'm so grateful for you and all that you have done to inspire me. And I wish you all the best. I truly do.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Have a great night.
You too.
All right. Wasn't she just beautiful? I just love it. Beautiful spirit, beautiful soul. Someone that has just got an amazing talent and gift. We are just really honored to have our guest here. I'm going to say that. I love that you guys are here with me and you're chatting. Make sure that you can please hit those thumbs up, those likes, those follows and shares. That really helps us out so much. I can't even tell you. We were trying to make awareness. And it's not just for my voice. I'm not here to gain popularity. I want you guys to share this out, to share my guests, right? I mean, they have been doing amazing things around this nation. And I love how all of a sudden I've just blown up with views. I really, really appreciate that. And it's to celebrate my guests and who they have. And I have even more to come. I mean, Sunday is going to be something special. If you guys haven't seen that I've been posting, we are doing our first live concert. Call it a revival and celebration to the Lord. I'm so excited to have them back. Our men, we just had our rehearsal on Thursday. I guess that was yesterday, right? We just had our rehearsal, or was it Wednesday night? Either way, it was beautifully done. I'm so excited. I was already in tears. I've been posting about it, and God really came to me, and we've had them on before. It was Father's Day, and I'll tell you what, Satan just showed up in all of its forces. But we did not let that take it down. We were up, we were rolling, we got it back up onto the rumble. We did whatever, but everybody's going to be in the house. We know God's got us covered. We've already done rehearsal. And this is going to be amazing. If you've not heard their music, it's Aromem, Aromem, and they are going to be doing a beautiful concert on my show on Sunday. We're going to call it a show of revival, a show of celebration, a show of rejoice for our beautiful Savior and our wonderful Father above. And they are an amazing band. And I just, between the flute and the violin, and the drums, and the guitar, I was like, oh, the instruments that they play. And it's a Native American contemporary Christian group. So please make sure that you're here Sunday, 12 p.m., here on Liberty Arise, everyone. So Sunday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we have our very first live concert with Aromem. I'm very excited. So before we go, I am going to show you, again, great way to help us out besides those wonderful thumbs up. Thank you very much. I see that on Facebook. Thank you very much. And I see that on Rumble. Is you can support us out by getting one of the world's best products. And it is amazing, honey. If you guys haven't seen it before, I've done multiple shows. I won't be cooking this Sunday because we got the live concert. But usually I'm making something with it, whether it's bread or it's a dressing or it's something. I always try to show you how to use this honey as well. And I'm telling you, Nurse Patrick is telling you, honey is one of the best foods for our bodies. And some of the world's best honey I've ever tasted is Be Nourished. And you guys get 22% off by using the code Liberty. So here they are, Be Nourished.
Honey. It's one of the greatest gifts to man. With millions of wildflowers in every bottle, the nourishing power of honey is still yet to be fully discovered. Be Nourished healing products combines healing ingredients from around the planet to the purest honey from the island of Maui to bring magic to your taste buds. The best honey from the most beautiful place to nourish your body, mind, and soul. From our hearts to yours, be nourished.
Okay, and we're back. So before we end tonight, there is a movie out there that has been going around that we have been promoting like crazy. I highly encourage you to. It's called The Sound of Freedom. I did just go see this on Wednesday, and I hope to talk about it more. I think that my producer and I might be talking about it on the show. It is very good. I've heard it's very, from a lot of people, it's intense. And I didn't necessarily, I come from this with a different point of view, everyone, as I've adopted children that live this life, literally. And when you have 5 chests full of notes and records, and I could only get through a fourth of them because they were so bad and I felt like I was going to have a heart attack. This movie is done very, very well, but it's not intense like I would say it's intense. It might be intense for you because you're very new to this subject. So it definitely awakens people and brings us to your consciousness. And there is no lie. At the end, there is a little, they talk after the credits about a mission and the realities of this business. This human trafficking business is $150 billion a year. I have an episode I did on child trafficking that's actually probably my most popular, and I'm very surprised that that is my most popular, but also not surprised because we are all fighting to protect our youth one way or another. We always want to see our youth succeed and our youth prosper and have a life that's full of dreams and wonder, a life that they get to go and be and have a future that they get to create. I say as an educator, it's my job as an educator to give them the foundations for their dreams of their future, not to sit there and sway their religion or sway who they are, inside, or who they feel like they are inside. That's not my position. I'm an educator. I need to teach them how to open a business or how to find the pathway to college and get funded or find the scholarships for trade. I mean, my nephew's a welder, makes, major money. And our trades are so important and they're very well paid. But I don't know what that dream may be. But it's my job as an educator to let them explore those fields. Because without the foundation, especially reading, writing, and arithmetic, how are they going to succeed for that future? And this is where we're failing in our schools, right? Because we're not sticking to these kind of principles. Instead of our kids are decades and decades behind. And it's more than just COVID, everyone. Because when I was in the public school system, I was shocked. And my first year teaching in the public school system was during COVID. And the kids were already decades behind. It got worse with COVID, but they were already a decade behind at least. When my seniors could not read, we have a problem. And it was more than that. They didn't know about budget. They didn't know about scholarships. They didn't know about FAFSA. They didn't know about different avenues, building their own businesses, right? Or doing that. But it just seems like our youth are just not getting the right protections. They're not getting the right direction. They're being attacked, and bringing us back to full circle of this movie. I love that Sound of Freedom. It's brought awareness. And I say this with the utmost respect, but it's a very G-rated version of this reality. If they showed you the true horrors of this, I don't think anybody would watch this movie. You wouldn't be able to sit there and watch this. Right. I mean, that's just reality, but it's beautifully, beautifully done. And I'm so glad that millions and millions of people are pouring in to see this, because not only are you supporting the effort, which they really do, the places like Our Rescue and the people with Jim Cazell and things like that. They really are taking that funding to continue the effort to find more children. And one thing that also, but again, I'm not here to really tear down the movie per se, but my daughter that I took with me, again, living this life, she felt like when she left, I said, how do you feel about the movie? Do you think, or this global problem? She goes, well, it just made me feel like it was only in Colombia. So I want to reinstate, if that's a feeling that you guys have after seeing that, understand that this is a global problem, with a lot of it being here in the United States of America. We have over 800,000 children missing. And this is very much a problem here. Again, beautifully done movie. And I love that it's bringing awareness. And I love that it's taken the funding to help save more children. But this is not something just exists in Colombia or even in Latin America. And they may be taking kids from there, but they are kids missing by the millions around the globe and taken every year. $150 billion a year. I cannot stress this enough. And one thing that he said too is it's about ready to take more money in than the drug epidemics. So just to give you some understanding of how big this problem is, it was just to show you a little bit, because again, if you saw the true horrors that I even read and had to deal with on a personal level with the kids I have rescued and were able to be a part of that. I mean, I didn't physically rescue them. I was able to adopt them and things like that, but they had lived a life like this before me. And so sorry, not only is my throat bothering me, allergies, more honey, everyone, more honey. And it is a very hard subject for me to talk about because it's so personable. And like I said, there's no way I want to disvalue or disrespect this movie. It is absolutely done so well. And I'm so thankful that it is bringing awareness. But I just didn't want anybody to think this is in my backyard, so it's not my problem. It's not just in your backyard. This is a global issue and one of the biggest businesses in the world, and it needs to stop. It needs to stop. So I'm going to show you something here before we leave today. Let me pull it up. I know I've showed it before. I definitely showed it to you in my child trafficking one, but I wanted you to see this. Let me add it here. This is almost a PG-13 version of this. And this was one of the hardest paintings. In fact, I'm going to remove my banner here. Give me 1 second so you guys can see that fully. There you go. This was one of the hardest paintings I've ever had to do. It put me in such depression, but I was inspired that I had to tell this message. I had to tell the message of my children. I had to tell the message of more of these children. I wrote a paper, and when I did this in my undergrad, when I was doing this, I was given this, and actually in Latin American Studies was one of my majors, and I was given this assignment to talk about child trafficking and write a paper about that. At that time, there was only, and like I said, this might have been less than a decade ago, maybe 8 years, okay? There was maybe 200,000 children missing in the U.S. Now, when I Google it, it tells me 800,000 of children are missing in the United States. That just goes to show you. And I chose the colors for a reason, the skin tones for a reason. I encapsulated stories that were also current, that were going on around me. When I was at Columbia, currently, there was a huge issue with boys in the Catholic Church. Over 5,000 were coming forward, talking about being victims of molestation. It was horrible. So I want to include the fact that this is not just a girl problem. And one of the things that the movie does show you, this is not just girls. Children, both boys and girls, are taken. I wanted you to understand this is for profit. This happens anywhere from little kids to campuses to almost like a menu. And you see that in the movie too, where they literally can call up and say, I want this age, or email or whatever they do. I want this age and I want this time and can I have that? I mean, it is just horrible that our children are going through this. You can zoom in onto this to see. I could zoom into on this to see too. But this was really hard for me not only to paint, but to bring awareness, as I've known about this for well over a decade. Um, and I've seen it. I lived in Arizona. We will remove this now. This is called rape culture because this is exactly what it is. You know, these children are getting raped so people can have pleasure, profit, drugs, whatever. My kids were, um, this kind of situation happened to them so that people could get drugs. And I'll remove that now, but it's very personal to me. And that's why I say that painting is more of a PG-13 version, which the story is absolutely beyond that. The real stories of what these kids go through. And this is also something that just doesn't go away. When we save these souls too, this trauma will carry with them for life. And hopefully they get the right kind of therapies, the right kind of advocates, the right kind of families, because they might even not have families anymore. And even with our rescue that I said in my child trafficking episode, they even help out with adoptions for children that are victims of this as well. And I don't know on what level you guys can help. Going to this movie is a great way to help because that funding is going to find more kids. Our rescue is another way that you can help support that. I looked into that program as well. OUR, our rescue. Okay. There are probably multiple more. And if you know them, you could absolutely put them down on my permanent underneath my show, especially the child trafficking show. List of organizations that you know, not ones that are going to sit there and say 10% for the kids and 90% for salary. No, I want to see where 90% are going to the kids and 10% goes to the salary because you have operations. I get that. You got to pay for the planes and the buses and the cops and the whatever you need to do that. But most of it, maybe not 90%, but most of it should be going to the fact of actually rescuing the children, not boosting somebody's salary from, I don't know, 100,000 to $1 million a year. I do know some nonprofits have done that when they're trying to say that they are helping. So do your own research, or if you know a foundation that is doing something great, please post it underneath my Rumble chat in the permanent chat, so that I can share that with others, because this is going to take everybody's help. And I encourage you to find some way, somehow, whether you're encouraging others to see this movie, maybe you want to adopt, maybe you want to figure out, get a hold of your local congressman, your local representatives, and figure out how in your communities you can help prevent this, counteract this, and stop this madness. Stop this from becoming, and continuing to be one of the world's biggest businesses, because this is just pure evil, everyone. And our kids around the world are absolutely suffering every single day this is going on. So again, kudos and love for the movie Sound of Freedom. If you haven't seen it, please go see it. It is really a good movie. It's going to make you uncomfortable, as it should. I would be more upset if it didn't make you uncomfortable. It might make you cry. It might be hard to watch, but it is a reality. And understand still that movie is still not all that it could show you. I mean, the horrors are unbelievable to hear the real stories that these kids face. But I am really thankful, and I was really proud that my daughter went there with me. I thought that it might stir up some kind of issues, but it didn't. But she wanted to make sure that um, everyone got to understand that it wasn't just a Colombia. She just felt like it left saying that this was just a Colombia problem. It's not. It's not just a Latin American problem, everyone. It is definitely in our own country here too, and live and well. So be aware. Watch your babies. Lug them, hug them, kiss them. And again, watch over them. Watch over your neighbors' babies. Keep an eye out for these children. Keep an eye out for these predators, because in a matter of seconds, they can be gone. And they show that too in the very beginning of the movie, of how fast these kids can go and how evil these people are that come and what they use. And they don't come with like, sometimes they do and they snatch your kids, but they also come like you're winning awards and everything's great. Next thing you know, you're facing the biggest life of hell that you ever can face. So we want to say a special prayer and love for our children around the world. And thank you to all those who are fighting to save them. And I thank you guys so much for being with me here tonight, not only to celebrate this beautiful artist and to support these beautiful artists. Thank you so much for helping support my channel and my show. I really, really appreciate you guys. I love the thumbs ups. I love the views that I'm getting. I love the sharing that you guys are doing with that. It's an honor to bring you on. If you want to come on, please reach out for me. You can find me on the social medias as well. Lady Hamilton Art. I usually go to True Social or Twitter. Those are my two that you're going to find me on. You can also find my school if everybody needs a different education. I think about one of the reasons I opened up this school too is we don't all learn the same way. And art in all of its beautiful forms. We use 31 different kinds of art forms in our school. And everywhere from advertising to color theory and math. I mean, it's not all painting, everyone, but even if you have kids with disabilities or trauma, it is so rewarding to have that avenue for them. So think about that as well. But you can find me on Hamilton Liberty Academy. You can go to HamiltonLibertyAcademy.com. You can find Hamilton Liberty on almost all the social medias, from Facebook to Twitter to Getter to LinkedIn. You can even find it on True Social. Love my True Social. Right? Thank you guys so much for sharing that. But we want to be here for the families that want something different, that want actual, real foundational school again, to help prepare your students and your youth to become what they want to be, whether it's college or trade or build your own businesses, but to have that firm foundation so that you know how to read and do math and do all this without having somebody tell you, hey, change this, cut that off. Hey, you must feel this way or you must feel that way. That's something that I want my youth to know and research. I'll be doing a show coming down about that as well, because the actual stories that go into even a sex change, right? Those are major, major operations. And a 5-year-old cannot make that decision. And you think that, oh, we're just talking about later teens. No, this has happened to me next door. I've seen neighbors tell me these kind of things, before. And so we have to be really aware. This is starting from, really young, and those kids can't make that decision. But I'm not saying you can't change, but you should be an adult and have a critical mind and have critical thinking skills and be able to research that and know all the details that go into everything you do before you make that decision. That's the difference. And that's definitely not my job to do. My job is to give you the education and the foundations for you to go be a wonderful person, whoever that might be, for your future, as all schools should be. They're not, but they should be. And I love our youth. That's going to be the hill I die on, is I'm going to continue to fight for our youth in all aspects in any way I can. So I hope you join me in that crusade, everyone. We must love and take care of our children. It's been a wonderful Friday night. I hope to see everyone on Sunday. And you know how I always love to end with a song. And since I was talking about children, I'm going to use one of my favorite songs that I use a lot on Sunday as well, because let's get commercial if I load it. All right, sorry about that. Just took me 1 minute. And so I'm going to say goodbye right now, because every time I see this one of these songs and things like that, I get so emotional because they're so beautiful. The only thing that's wrong with this video is that it was during COVID and they did the mask. And I did send an email requesting they do another version without the mask so we could see their beautiful smiles and faces, because it's so well done. And I love to hear children sing and pray. I think that they're so pure. And, God is really screaming out right now about his children. He's very, very concerned, and he wants this to be changed. He wants his children to feel the love, and not just from him. So everyone, again, like I said, it's been a pleasure. Please don't miss our Sunday show. We have our live concert on with Aromem, and it's going to be phenomenal. So if you want to come and rejoice and dance and sing and celebrate and say praises. This will be the day. I am so excited. I cannot wait to have them on. It's going to be a amazing, amazing day. So I'm going to say my goodbyes, and I will see you all then. Have a beautiful, blessed night, everyone. Let's put this on full screen, and I'll say, all right, good night, and I'll see everybody on Sunday.
There comes a time when we answer and call, when the world must come together as one. There are people dying, and it's time to lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all. We can go on pretending day by day that someone somehow will soon make a change. We are all a part of God's great big family, and the truth, you know, love is all we need. We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones who make a brighter day, so let's start giving. There's a choice we're making, we're saving our own lives. It should make a better day, just you and me. Well, send them your heart, so that another someone cares, so the cries for help will not be in vain. We can't let them suffer, no, we cannot turn away. Right now, they need a helping hand. We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones who make a better day, so let's start giving. There's a choice we're making, we're saving our own lives. It should make a better day, just you and me. When you're down now and there seems no hope at all, but if you just believe, there's no way we can fall. Well, let us realize, oh, that a change can only come when we stand together as one. As one. We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones who make a brighter day, so let's start giving. There's a choice we're making, we're saving our own lives. It should make a better day, just you and me. We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones who make a brighter day, so let's start giving. There's a choice we're making, we're saving our own lives. It should make a better day, just you and me. We all need somebody that we can lean on. When you wake up, look around and see that your dream's gone. When the earthquakes will help you make it through the storm. When the floor breaks, a magic carpet to stand on. We are the world united by love so strong. When the radio isn't on, you can hear the songs. A guiding light on the dark road you're walking on. A signpost to find the dreams you thought was gone. Someone that helped you move the obstacles you stumbled on. Someone that helped you rebuild after the road was gone. We are the world connected by a common bond. Love, the whole planet singing along. Nosotros somos el mundo.